Well, Leonardo, Francesco, you'll be really pleased to hear that I've been given a final offer by the owners. In other words, if this is not acceptable, they're out of the mediation and back to the tender mercies of the arbitrators.
So you don't want to call them in, so we conclude with a hallelujah altogether?
Well, I want you to have the opportunity in private to discuss with Leonardo and myself how you feel about this, or Leonardo to have that opportunity to discuss with you before we call the owners back in. So cutting straight to the chase, they would only agree at this stage to 2 vessels, 1 year straight, 5% discount on at market rate, less a 5% discount, which they calculate is worth to you $200,000 over that 1 year for the 2 vessels. So that's their proposal. 2 vessels you wanted, 2 vessels you will get, but for 1 year straight. On top of that, they would like 50% of the arbitration claim, so $140,000, and they agree your proposal to split the cost, the arbitration and mediation costs. So in fact, in financial terms, it is giving you $200,000 off-market rate, and you are called upon to pay $140,000 towards their arbitration claim. But that's put as a final offer, so I have to say, if that isn't acceptable to you, Leonardo, then that would represent an end of the...
Let me discuss...
Of course.
You know, the acceptance or the not acceptance of our last offer. But since we have to leave and we don't want to damage the reputation of mediator, Mr. Rondinella, who is the good cop and actually the person who pays the bill, is amenable to get this discount on the 1 year extension of the charter, which I think is in excess of the allowance of the 50%, which is obviously for us a purely financial agreement. Obviously, it doesn't, is without prejudice to any sort of. But this wouldn't be acceptable without getting a 1 + 1 year option at a very generous increase rate of 1,000 a year. So we'll close at the owner's condition, but we want to get this 1 + 1 year of option with this uplift of higher. And but we have to leave, so I mean it's better you call the charters in if they accept it. We have settled. we have reached a result. Otherwise, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye.
As you said, Francesco, maybe it's better not to look a gift horse in the mouth, in the sense that the 200,000 by way of discount from market rate
Yes.
is in excess of the payment sought towards the claim. And perhaps you can leave it, given your time constraints, that I know you have to fly to London tonight. So given your time constraints, maybe you leave it on the basis that further terms, any further optional extensions to the charters could be discussed hereafter. But for now, what you've agreed is 2 one-year charters at market rate less 5%. Any further additional periods and the rates for any further additional periods would then be for further discussion later.
Yes, but there is the cost element. You calculate it on the basis of the claim, not the cost was
Well, the
a
cost, I
concession
think,
to get the option.
Yeah, the cost.
Sharing the cost. I'm sure we will win the cost.
Yes. Let's then do as you suggest. Given your time constraints, let's call in the owners and let's explore whether we can now
We
draw
don't
up
have time for exploration. We have time for answers.
But like the captain on the bridge, you know, I don't leave the mediation till we have at least heads of agreement signed. So maybe, Francesco, you draw up now the heads of agreement whilst I call the owners back into the room. Then we can get the heads of agreement signed and you can catch your flight, even if it's a later flight than the one you
I'm sorry. A lot of people is waiting for us. No, we have to know.
Call the
yes. Then I can send. Can I send a message, and this could be done by exchange of messages, to leave something in writing. Okay.
Okay.
We will sign it later.
So, gentlemen, you're palpably very close. I think that the charterers are happy in principle, but would want certain additional options. So let me ask Francesco to explain to you what it is they want in relation to your offer. Broadly, I think you're in agreement. Heads of terms will be drawn up. Those will be signed, and then my job is done. But let Francesco explain how he sees this.
So, no, the option is very generous because it contemplates an increase of 1,000 a year. Is 1 + 1 year at an increase of 1,000 per each 1 year option exercised. I think here we are really not dealing with the settlement of relatively small dispute, but with a good relationship between two parties. Both of you expressed respect and goodwill towards the other party. I think really, I know you are very sensible people, and I think that the choice that both parties have to make. Otherwise, we will have to damage Jonathan's very high record of success, but this may happen sometime.
Please don't worry about my success record or the number of scalps I have under my belt. But I think, may I suggest that, in fact, you are in agreement to this extent, and perhaps additional points could simply be noted for possible later agreement. What I think you have agreed today is, firstly, that the costs the costs relating to the arbitration and mediation, each party will bear own costs. Secondly, that there will be 2 one-year time charters for 2 of your vessels, one of them being Blue Chip Naples, at market rate less 5%. Is your lawyer abandoning you in your...
No, he's luggage. I'm carrying his luggage.
yes, but Francesco,
No, we are just on the floor because we have to rush out. Would like to know if we are successful or not.
so how do you want to... Okay, so Francesco, just tell him yes. Tell Leonardo, tell Yanni yes. Tell them yes. Well, you're in a hurry. I mean, yes.
Jonathan, this is just how he was in the cross-examination. Mr. Lauro tries to lead Mr. Rondinella everywhere, and Mr. Rondinella wants to settle.
He's leading the witness, huh?
So, I think he made a very generous proposal. Unfortunately, we have to reach.
So-
we had to leave half an hour ago. Now we must leave. Unfortunately, we apologize. I think
So-
we are there. We would like to know yes or no. Everything would be
No.
liberation for all of us. We will thank you anyway. And obviously, we offer you, invite you.
So, Leonardo, you started by telling me about that the relationship with these owners dates back to your grandfather's day and the high value that your grandfather put on that relationship, which you still put on that relationship. And there is a deal on the table. I think if that can be recapped and you can confirm your agreement, I think you'll agree one postponed flight is a small price to pay for the...
We discussed the grandfather another time, sorry.
Jonathan, we can be quick about this.
We have to go.
Yes,
right?
that's
Yes.
correct.
This is the oldest trick in the book. We've made our final offer. It's simple. It has no options, no complexities. We've made our offer. We've given you 2 one-year charters, 5% off market rate. That stands as a sign of goodwill and to show the recognition of the relationship. We will make 140 recovery down to 120, and that is it. Otherwise, we really are going, and we're never coming back. And we'll be looking forward to Mr. Aston and Mr. Moss and Mr. Jago's wisdom and excellent award, which we are confident will succeed in.
What did he say?
Simple.
He said his 140,000 final offer now reduces to 120,000, but that is that.
Okay, sorry, we have got our flight. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Sorry for your records.
So, I mean, Francesco is a delightful and old friend, but a very difficult lawyer to have at a mediation, it has to be said. And actually, it's very rare, once you've made as much progress as we appear to have made, to find that either party, really leaves. Generally, at that point, you dig in and take the time necessary to resolve it. And it is then good practice to either draw up a settlement agreement or at least heads of terms, recording let's say the main points, and that's then signed off. Actually, there is a case that went to the English High Court on whether solicitors were negligent for failing to bring along a draft settlement agreement to a mediation. So it is good practice, frankly, for the lawyers on each side to bring along a draft settlement agreement. Of course, there'll be all sorts of blanks, but at least that can save an awful lot of time at the end of the day. Anyway, it seems to have got quite close. In practice, it would probably have been sorted given the progress made. And it is, I think what I'd summarize is this, that in court or arbitration, and I sit as arbitrator as well, so it's not that I have the view that every case needs to go to mediation, but in court or arbitration, the focus is on positions. And the judge or arbitrator can only award, he can allow the claim, deny the claim, or award some proportion of the claim, but that's basically it. Whereas in mediation, the focus is on interests, the underlying interests of each party, and it is possible to end up with a solution which may not even resolve the claim itself. At one point, I was sort of half suggesting that the owners may want to park their claim, just leave the claim for 280,000, because their real problem is that they may go out of business if their mortgagees get tough with them and if they can't find employment for the remaining 2 vessels in their fleet. So that seems to be a bigger concern than the 280,000, which probably only pays a month's mortgage outstanding, debt. So it's that sort of point. Anyway, I hope it was of interest, and there we are.
Well, very briefly, I hope that this afternoon has shown the different approaches that LMAA arbitration takes to mediation. Mediation, I would say, requires special circumstances that go beyond a mere dispute and perhaps involve a background relationship of the nature we saw. There are strengths in both, but they are separate, LMAA arbitration and mediation. One thing I would say about LMAA arbitration is that we rarely go on beyond 5 o'clock, as we have done today. But we should, I think, thank the actors who, I think, enjoyed their role as participants this afternoon, and perhaps at times were more enthusiastic than we expected. But I also am glad that it falls to me to bring proceedings to a close this afternoon. It has been a wonderful 2 days, as it always is, and as Francesco always arranges for us. So thank you to you for your patience in staying and lasting the course, but also I think we must, as everybody else has suggested we should, thank and congratulate Francesco and Studio Legale Lauro for putting on such a splendid 2-day conference for us, and looking forward to seeing you next year. Thank you.
Now, if I may, I want to add something. I want to thank the tribunal. I want to thank Jonathan, whose records has been impaired, unfortunately, by us. No, I'm sure with a little bit more of time we would have reached an agreement. And I don't exclude we can do this, the next shipping and the law, since this crisis might be quite long, unfortunately, at least another year, according to some actors. I would like to say something. Shipping and the law is not just Studio Legale Lauro. Shipping and the law belongs to all of us, because I think one actor wouldn't be able to make something like this. It's your time, your flexibility, your interest, your friendship, your support. And I think as long as this friendly climate, and some of you I think all of you are very busy people. Some come from abroad, so are in some respect more busy than us who are in Naples. You are all important actors of this industry. You are all enthusiastic people. So I will continue as long as I can to propose you to do this together. This year was easier for me to do it because a lot of friends, some of them are sitting next to me, took over part of the job. So my profession was not totally spoiled, for many months before. And also Studio Legale Lauro could have me partly as a contributor to the firm. I would like in the future also to avail of some more of you to organize this, which is not only a big performance, I think is something more, and I hope it will go on for a while. For me, the pleasure of having you in Naples, in the places I like, listening your discussion sometime is really great, and I hope we can do this in the future more as a teamwork increasingly, and also to improve Jonathan Lack's records that has been a little bit damaged this time, but he will forgive us. He was a great contributor, like the arbitration tribunal, like my the owners, and the very hot lawyer who didn't give us this hot speech, but showed his hot talents of attorney. Thank you very much.